It is another beautiful day today, and we are going to talk how, or rather, speak on the fact that you are always right, even when you're wrong. Okay? So, in this reality, anything you say is right, anything you think is right, your perception of everything is right, even if objectively and logically it is wrong. You are always right, and your reality will show you that you're right. Okay? So, you know, you could see this as a person that is unable to see their blessings. They think every day is a bad day regardless, right? So they're always wanting more. They're always looking at the negative and stuff. They're just, in their mind, they could be successful. They could have money. They could have a relationship. They could have love. They could have whatever. But because they perceive it as negative or they want something more, they're not fulfilled. And in their reality, they're correct, right? Because you're the one that decides everything. You decide if you're fulfilled or not. You know, like just waking up in the morning is a success. You've succeeded. Now, any other rules or limitations you got on there, that's your rules and limitations for your own existence, right? So you're always right. You know, say you think this is my struggle, I guess, with my old identity struggle with unworthiness and just, I guess, lack of self-confidence, right? And then that would be projected and fed back to me, actually. So it'd be projected and fed back to me, even though like I think I'm awesome, but you know, the old identities thought I was nothing, right? Like, thought I was like, okay, what's the point, right? Which, you know, they say depression or anxiety or whatever. When in reality, this is you creating it based on your mindset a lot of the times. There are instances where certain variables play into that situation. But more likely than not, if you're depressed, you're more likely than not living in the past. There's some pattern. Speaking from experience, there's some pattern that you need to break, and your old self and your old ego is not letting you break that pattern because you're comfortable in this pattern, right? You're comfortable sticking to what you know, right? So a lot of people are addicted to suffering. A lot of people, you could try to talk to them, try to have them override that programming, and it doesn't work. You'd be like, oh my God, it's a beautiful day. Like, look at the sun's out. It's like, oh my God, it's hot. You're like, okay, yeah, it's hot, but it's a beautiful day. Or like, oh my God, look, it's raining. The plants are gonna get so much water. It's amazing. It's like, oh, the sun's not out. It's like, okay, it is what it is, right? So your perspective on everything is gonna prove you right, right? So, like, you could be in a relationship with someone and assume the worst things, right? Jesus, that would be windy. Okay. You could assume the worst things. You could assume the worst intentions, and even if they're incorrect, right? In your reality, that is the truth, because you decide and you dictate what your reality is, right? So, super like basic, I guess, basic example of this. Let's go, I don't like going political, but let's go political, right? So you got the, I guess, Democrats and Republicans, right, arguing about, oh, the Democrats are so dumb that they're doing this, and then it's like, the Republicans are so dumb they're doing this, and it's, I mean, I think a certain way. But you've ever had people that, like, I've talked to conservatives that they assume Democrats are all stupid, which is dumb, right? Like, it's obvious that not everyone, like, stupidity is pretty consistent on both sides of the aisle, you know, same wings of the same bird. But their reality is that, oh my God, like, these people are so dumb, right? on both sides. There's people that drive that they're like, oh my God, no one could drive, right? And you're like, okay, that's not true, but sure. And then they just like they just get mad, they get road rage because they get upset that they're driving and something happens and they're like, oh my God, look at this idiot. And that already puts you in a negative space, right? You're already like creating a negative experience for yourself. So this is maybe it's my delusion, right? But I try to look at the positive in everything. Every possible thing, I will try to find a positive. Even in my old identity, I would always try to find a positive spin because my old identity got used to experiencing negative. So I got a lot of practice trying to respin, like reset my perspective, so to speak. So say a bad driver cuts you off, right? You're like, oh my God, you know what? Thank God this driver is such a good driver. Because if it was actually a bad driver, I might have got hit, or, you know, the car in front of me, I might have got hit, and then, you know, that would have added. So thank goodness he's a good driver. Keep driving safe. You're awesome. And then, you know, some people are like, oh, that's, you know, you're being delusional. It's like, look, all we have is delusion. All you have is what you come up with in your mind. That is your reality. That is always your reality. If you think a certain way, that is how your reality becomes, right? And however you think is the truth, even if it's not. In your reality, it is the truth, right? So like, let's go throwback for a second. I don't know if they still have these, but I remember when I was a lot younger in school, they used to sell these little rabbit foots, right? They're like, oh, it's lucky or whatever. And then you would have people, or even superstitions in sports, right? People have their superstitions and they fully believe that they're lucky because they have something. And a lot of times it works. A lot of times it does work because they have this, their God mind is committed. They have blind faith. Mind you, the blind faith should be in God and in yourself. But these people have blind faith in these things or these rituals or these items, right? And all that is doing is you're basically giving your power, like you're unknowingly using your power, but you're attributing your own power to these other things, right? So, and again, like I said, you're always gonna be right. So in your reality, if say you have a problem and someone's like, oh, here's a solution for the problem, and you're like, oh no, that's not gonna work. You're right. It's not gonna work because you decided that it's not gonna work. Say you are, you know, dating multiple people or whatever, and then you decide who to love. All right. Obviously, we love ourselves, but you decide, you choose who you are loving. And it's a constant decision you choose every day, right? And then, because everyone has their own reality, there's people that could love multiple times, right? They're like, oh yeah, I loved every person I've been with, like some people say. My reality is, I wouldn't say that. I would say, or I'm choosing to love one person and that's it, right? No one else. I am not concerned with anybody else ever. And obviously myself. But anyone else externally, it's not my intention, it's not my focus, it's not what I want. So again, this is my reality when there's people that are like, oh my God, I've loved every person I've been with, and I've been with so many people. And their reality is they've experienced that much love, right? And you can't tell them otherwise. Just like I can't be told otherwise what my reality is because I create it, right? So the mind, the thought process, and your natural state of being decides and dictates your reality, always. And you are always right, even when you're wrong, right? Even when you're wrong, you're right. So you could be walking around, these people are minding their own business, and you're like, oh my God, look at these people like staring at me, or look at these people, are kind of pissing me off, or these people are, you know, they have the worst intentions for me, or in reality, these people are just doing their own thing. They got no concern about you. Or there's some people that are like, oh my God, look this. They're getting me gifts, or they're doing something. They're trying to manipulate me. They're using words. They're trying to, you know, they're it's a manipulation tactic. Look, like I said, even when you're wrong, you're right. So the 3D world, this reality, is confirmation bias galore from what's internal, which is why scientifically I think it's super interesting, because if you look at all the research for everything, for anything actually, if you look at the research for anything, there is always evidence for both sides, which makes me think that the observer and the belief of the observer also sway certain research, you know, because then they'll probably get what they want. But it's super interesting because there's belief for both. There's belief for everything, right? And there's support for damn near anything you can think of. And with the little supercomputer, little crazy device that we all have, the phone, you can look up evidence for everything, right? Anything comes up with, you can find something that says something, one way or the other, or there's different views, which I think is amazing. But you have to have discernment and knowing in your own power, because if you don't, you're going to keep looking for the external. You're going to keep allowing this reality to dictate what you see, right? You're going to keep allowing the old identity you're holding to try to fuck up your world based on negativity or the ego, right? Or even just being unable to see the positive. Like if you're that negative of a person, even if you, a lot of people are negative and they play like they're positive. Like they're very negative people. Not like on purpose, right? It's just there's patterns that are instilled in them, maybe from childhood, maybe from past experiences. And a lot of it echoes through actions. And I think, personally, when I come across those people, it's my chance to kind of reinforce what I think, which is be positive. And then maybe, maybe if a negative person hears a positive mindset enough times, they could change the identity if they choose to. Because, this is God experiencing a human experience, right? So, if this is God experiencing a human experience, and God is neutral, meaning good and bad, everyone's capable of good and bad. There's creation's already done, right? Creation's already done. Every iteration that you could even imagine of you exists. You just have to pick which one you want to be, right? So, just like there's a version of you that's, the president, there's a version of you that's the Pope, there's a version of you that's an athlete, there's a version of you that is in jail, there's a version of you that, anything that comes up, there is a version of you that experience everything, and you just have to pick which one you want. There's a version of you that's abundant. It's a version of you with a family. There's a version of you that's single. There's a version of you that's living life according to different morals, right? So the main thing is you decide what you want your truth to be, because you're always right. So decide what your truth is and stick to it. Stop looking externally, because it's not gonna help. So you decide your truth, you stick to it, and as long as you're sticking to it, life is gonna work out for you, because that is the nature of this existence. Life is a projection of our internal, right? So your mind is seeing what you're projecting to it. Now, I would say your current reality is the result of your current identity or your past identity, because everything works instantaneously. All the shifts are instantaneous. You're constantly shifting back and forth, unless you're being conscious and choosing what you're being. You're constantly shifting in between identities, and that's gonna, maybe hot and cold. It might be situations will be good for a little bit and then bad and then good and then bad and then good and bad. So it is the lack of consistency or congruence in actually sticking to what you're doing or sticking to what you say you're doing. Um, they say man's word is everything, or word is everything in general, because I don't think it's man's word, or because it's also women as well. But outside of honesty and integrity, the word is everything. You've created your reality by speaking it into existence, even before it shows up, even before the 3D tells you what is up. You've created it. So remember that, and if you want to create good, speak good about yourself, speak good about those around you, speak good about your situation. And if you want to stay in the negative, speak bad about everyone. A lot of people are in the victim mindset. They don't even know. But that's for another video. But no. So you're always right, even when you're wrong. So make sure you choose your truth, and make sure your truth is something that you want to live. Okay? Unless, if you want to create suffering, you want to create, a negative experience, you can, because you have that God and power, divine power inside of you. And we are creators. So I'm not going to tell you what to do with your life. That's what you decide. But I will say your mindset is one of the most important things. Your belief is one of the most important things. And the other thing is, which I thought was a flaw, but initially I thought it was a flaw in myself, but you have to be relentless and you can never quit. Because there's a lot of people that say, oh, if there's opposition, then it's not for me. If there's resistance, then it's not for me. Well, guess what? If that's what you think, you are correct. Because you decided that. Not because there's resistance, because you decided that. Because resistance, just this whole experience is, you have to create your own reality, even though the 3D is feeding you something else. So you have to see something before it's created, which is why people say, again, entrepreneurship and weight loss is a spiritual endeavor, because you are using that God mentality that you're like, okay, I see this as true, and regardless of what the 3D tells me, my truth is the truth, and regardless of what happens, I'm sticking to it, right? And there's no timeline. Timeline is ego. You're like, oh, I gotta get the timeline. Like, no, if you quit, that's you choosing to quit. And then that's when you've decided you want to shift to a different reality. If you quit something, which is cool. It's your reality to decide whatever you want. So it's a beautiful day. It's nice and cool, not too hot, not too cold. But yeah, so decide what you want, decide your truth, pick your truth, and live it out. But remember, you have to understand where you're coming from. So I would say 1 day, 2 days, just listen to yourself. And it's gonna suck, because when I say listen to yourself, I mean listen to your thoughts in your head, okay? Because what's gonna end up happening, we don't like quiet, because then your old identity comes out, other thoughts come out, everything comes out, right? So don't scroll, don't try to do input, don't read. I like reading. Don't read in these days, and just listen to yourself. Wake up in the morning. What's your first thought? Is your first thought, oh my God, I got gifted another day. This is awesome. This is gonna be a beautiful day. This is the best day ever, right? Or is your thought like, oh God, I feel so tired. Today's gonna be hard. I gotta do this, this, and this. Oh my goodness. Oh, look at the time. Oh, I gotta do this. Like, listen to what your current identity does in situations, okay? Because that's the only way you could choose who you want to be, and choose what version of you you're showing up as. You have to understand how your old identity or your current identity is functioning. All right. So yeah. So just day or two. Listen to how you react with yourself. So no input, no social media, no fucking books, no movies, no YouTube. Listen to yourself exist. Listen to what thoughts you come up with in your mind, because and then later on, if you find something you want to change, when that comes up in your mind, when it comes up, reject it. The love of my life always says clear, cancel, and release. I don't know if she always does that, but it's a good thing. Clear, cancel, release, deny it, right? You're telling your thoughts, you choose what your thoughts are. So you have full veto power. You have full authority to veto it. They're like, I've had my tires on my car pop multiple times, right? So there's different ways you can look at it. You know, you'd be like, oh my God, like my tires are popped, right? And I used to have to commute more to see the love of my life. So I would commute 500 miles, 300 miles, 700 miles. One way, right? Whatever. So I remember a conversation we had, which is funny because, again, your truth is your truth regardless if it's right or wrong. So I remember I was driving back and I had the tires pop. And I called her. I was like, look, tires popped. I'm safe. We're fine. We're good. Still going back after I switch it. After I switch it, take care of it. I'm driving back. And I remember she told me, she's like, oh my God, maybe that means like you shouldn't come back, or you know, maybe God's trying to tell you like you shouldn't come back because the tire popped or whatever. And I was like, no, that's not what that means at all. That means I just need to switch my tire before I keep driving. So again, just different mentalities, different thought processes. And I would say when someone else talks to you, there is instances where you are parroting, or where they are parroting old identities that you've held before, or beliefs that you had before. And those instances where they say something that counters what your thought process is a chance for you to solidify the identity that you're in currently. It's a chance for you to tell the 3D, tell reality, like, no, this is not what I think. This is not who I am. This is not who I'm being. So it's a cute thought, but it's not true. And whatever you decide is correct, because this is your universe. It's universe, right? So it's all you. And whatever your mindset is, whatever your beliefs are, you know, you can make it a negative experience, you can make it a positive experience. So just make sure you choose what you want, and make sure you're cognizant of what you're doing, and make sure you are dictating what you want, and nothing else is controlling you. Make sure you're not giving your power away, because a lot of people do this. So don't give your power away, and choose what you want. So, you know, yeah. So you're always right. Everyone's always right. In their reality, they're always right. So have fun with that information, and good luck. Hopefully everyone's enjoying their beautiful day, because it is beautiful, because you were able to draw another breath. You're able to experience life again. So, Godspeed. Have a beautiful day. Bye.